Hello, this is your host Val with the VK Career Conversation. The reason I decided to do this is that we all come from a place of insecurity when we're trying to figure out or just not knowing where we want to go with our career. What do I want to do? What's my next move with my career? Why am I feeling stuck here with what I'm doing? I remember when I started off in my career, I had no idea what I was doing, what I wanted to do. I want everyone to feel comfortable coming on. We will have professionals talking to you, myself, and others. We'll be consistent. We will feed your soul. We want you to ask questions. But I just think it's a platform that will allow you to really feel comfortable gaining information so that you can move forward in your career. You're listening to VK Career Conversations with Val. Tune in on the first and third Monday of the month. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I do want to, that intro was a little bit different than you guys are used to seeing. Mm-hmm. So we go live on Wednesdays, usually at 10 a.m. It's the live is a little more flexible, but I wanted to play that to let everyone know that we also play these episodes on the LV with Val radio station. You can tune in on the LV with Val app. That's LV with Val, and I'll put that up here in just a second. Or lvwithval.com. It's on the first and third Monday of every month at 8 a.m. We replay these episodes. So if you want to hear them live on your way to work, you can totally do that on the LV with Val app.
All righty then. Wow. I tell you, we're just moving. We're cooking over here. How are you doing today, Doc?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Fine. You just look like a bowl of sunshine. You just, you're just here. You're glowing. So how's everything been going and what's going on with you before we get into this conversation? Do you have all the answers? Wow.
I do have all the answers. So, that's it. I'm going to share everything and problem solved, right? Never. Okay. I tell you, it's always a day-to-day fight, isn't it? So,
it is. It really is. You never know what's going to happen today, what's going to happen tomorrow. You just have to be ready to deal with whatever comes your way.
Right. And you wake up and you're just ready. It's just like, okay, I'm braced. Let's do it. Whatever comes this way, we're going to get this done,
And does it mean you have the answers? No, but you're just ready for whatever's coming your way.
Yeah.
So with that being said, as Abigail and I were coming up with the topics, and I think this kind of came about, I was talking to her about something. I think it had to do with the, being the leader, or even as an employee. Why do you feel like you have to have all of the answers? That doesn't make you the smartest one in the room. Sometimes you can look like the smallest one in the room. That's kind of, yes. And so is having all of the answers the right thing? I mean, from your perspective as a doctor, let's just go from the medicine. Can you imagine everyone depending on you to have all of the right answers?
I do imagine every day, I've seen over 40,000 patients in San Antonio, and every one of those people have come to me for the answer. And I try to put myself in their shoes. This is a very mentally exhausting job because I do that. I see 20 to 25, maybe 30 patients a day. I put myself into them to try to figure out what they're thinking, feeling, what they need. And it's a different soul every time. And so it's a different experience. I never know what I'm walking into, but what I do know as a mom, as a doctor, I've always got to have the answer. Now, having said that, I have learned to be okay with not having the answer sometime. But I think what people need to hear is, you know what? It's all right. I don't know that answer, but I'm going to find out. My job is to find out. I'm going to find out. I'm confident I'm going to have an answer for you. And, and just display that confidence. I'm going to take care of it.
I think a lot of that comes from maturity. If we really be honest with ourselves, back in our 20s, 30s, oh God, we're trying not to tell my age over here. Did you feel like, I'm going to put myself there. Sure. I felt like I had to have it all together when I had nothing together.
Right.
And I really try now to give grace. And I think a lot of that pressure came from my upbringing because I wanted to do right by my parents. I wanted to make them proud. And I wanted something out of life.
Yeah.
And so I thought in my pea brain at the time was just have all the answers. What
Yeah.
do you mean you don't have the answer?
Right.
You know?
And I'm watching my 22-year-old go through that right now. She's a lot like her mama and maybe times 1,000, which is frightening.
Yes.
And boy, she just breaks herself down. Yesterday was supposed to be a big day for her. It didn't go well. And so last night she was falling completely apart. I'm like, baby girl, you've got so far to go before you really understand and know your business. You are an infant right now and you've got to learn, and not every day is going to be perfect and it's going to be the best. And so just learn from it. But something you were asking about being in your 20s and feel like you have to have all the answers and we don't really know. I feel like some of my experience in maturity, I wasn't mature at 20, but I had to be. I was raised very differently. I had a very difficult childhood with single parent, and I was one of those 80s latchkey kids, but it was even deeper than that, much deeper, and I won't go too far into it, but I really had to raise myself and be my own parent. And so I was always a very responsible kid. I cooked, I did my own laundry, did my own grocery shopping, did a lot of things like that, very very young. And so at the same time, I just have to buck up and remember, even back then, remember now, I'm the same person. I'm only able to do the best I can. And my maturity has brought me this far now. So I need to, at some point, let it go. And
let it go. And I think that we have to learn, and I think we've learned about grace, giving ourselves grace. And exactly. And when you can give yourself grace, I think it's a lot easier for you to give other people grace.
Absolutely.
You live in this and you function in this thing. Everything has to be right. You have to have all the right answers. Again, you're only fooling yourself because when you pull down the mask, the lights go off. You're sitting there looking at yourself and thinking about, I really made a fool of myself. I really made a fool. And I think that's okay. I want to ask a question. If you can go back to when you decided to go into medical school, actually, when you applied.
Yeah.
I know.
Story.
Tell me some of the processes you went through, even coming up to making the decision that I want to be a doctor.
I always wanted to be a doctor. My mom remembers me at 5 or 6 opening up encyclopedias. Remember, we had encyclopedias back then.
Yes. Oh, yes. Right. Not Google. Right? Exactly. We literally had to open it up. Yes.
I pulled a book off the shelf. But
off the shelf.
It was about, human anatomy. And I wanted to know about how the baby was developed. 5, 6 years old, I wanted to know all this. But I didn't want to know how it happened. I knew how it happened. I wasn't worried about that. I want to see the development. I wanted all that. So I knew forever. Okay. So raising myself is what I said. And I went through high school and I knew what I needed to do to get the grades. And I had lots of great people who mentored me. And one was Lisa Leach. I'm going to call her out. She was a great biology teacher. And, she pulled me through a lot. When I went through the application process, I was doing that quite alone as well. I'd been through a lot where I had a great GPA when I was at Texas Tech. I did go to the University of Texas for a semester and had a lot of big difficulties at home. Mom in the hospital, dad was sick and divorcing and just craziness. So I didn't do very well. So I went back to Tech. And of course, that from UT followed me. My GPA was a little low. I'm not a great test taker. My MCAT wasn't great. But I knew if I had a badass essay and, and I just plumped up my resume there, my CV, that they would consider me. And if they interviewed me, I was getting in. Well,
you knew it.
I knew it. I knew it. That's the thing. I knew it. And I told God, I told the universe, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. Wow. So that's it. And my brain said
there was no other plan. This is what I want to do. That's beautiful.
None. And I'd done that since I was a kid. That's what I was supposed to do. I just knew in my soul. Now, how it was going to happen, I didn't know. And I ended up being, I did go through, I did get an interview, like I said. I did go in and when I was on the waiting list, I'm trying to shorten this up. I was on the waiting list and I didn't get in that year. I was devastated. I didn't get a re-invite, and I'm supposed to. If you're on the waiting list, you're supposed to automatically get an interview. It didn't happen. So in December, 2 weeks before the end of the interview season, I didn't get an interview. I went to the dean's office and I sat and I told his secretary, I'm sitting in that chair right there and I'm not moving until he sees me. Well, he's busy. Nope. You see that chair? Me. Bye. So
I love it.
And he finally got me an interview. 2 weeks later, I got accepted. It finally happened. I mean, don't take no for
don't. You know, I really love you saying that, because that's one of the things I live by. And I've told my children, I try to tell, no is not going to kill or hurt anybody. Don't accept no. That's just that person's a no. That does not mean that that's your no. You keep going until the door is absolutely nailed shut and you can't get on there. And it's never
shut.
It's just not, it may not be at that particular. There you go. And one of the things that I always said, if I got an interview, I'm getting that job.
That's right. Me. That's right.
If I got an interview, trust and believe I'm going to get that job, because you're going to want me to be a part of your team.
Absolutely.
Yes. Because you exhibited that you believe in yourself.
Absolutely. And I don't know that I completely did in a way, but
no, you did. You did. If you told the deans,
but that I did. I did. There were many other things I didn't know. I wasn't good at love.
Of course.
But at that, I knew for sure that's where I was supposed to be. So yeah, you're right. It did come through.
Well, I'm going to ask Abigail if you can come on and chime in on this here. Do you think your age group, do y'all feel like y'all have to, let's talk about your age group. Your age group is probably 20 to 25, you're 25 to 30. Is that your group? Okay.
Yeah, I just turned 25.
Yeah, so let's say happy birthday.
She did just have a birthday. I saw that.
Yes. Is it that you guys feel like you have to have all the right answers? Is that because of partly social media, or what is that all about?
I actually think my generation is the opposite. I think we're okay with not knowing all the answers. I think we've seen
that's interesting
generations before kind of struggle with the pressure of having to fix everything and the pressure of like carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Well, why do y'all break down just because you get something? Prime example, like you said, this is a great conversation. Prime example, she said about her daughter, things didn't work out the way. I'll speak of my kid, my daughter. If something does not pan out exactly the way in her mind she thinks it's supposed to be, it's like, oh my God, the world. And I always tell her, take that book that you write everything down and throw it away.
Yeah.
This book that you're it's good to have organization, but that's not God's plan for you. And when things turn, just turn with it.
Yeah,
what is that all about?
I think it's easy to anticipate, you know what I mean? It's easy to kind of like, and I think I said this on one of our radio shows. I said something like, how many times have you gotten up at 3 a.m. and planned your whole life? You're like, oh, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna go to the gym and then I'm gonna do all these chores and I'm gonna do this and this and this, and then you wake up and you're like, actually, I'm gonna lay in bed.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy to think that you know everything that you need to do. But it is important to kind of realize that not everything is going to go exactly how you plan it. And I think when it comes to my generation, I think a lot of that, I think what has broken that down recently in that way that forced us was COVID. You know what I mean? A lot of us, I know I was in college during COVID. So like I had all these plans like, okay, after college, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then COVID really just put like a huge dent in all of my plans. And I think for a while, I was hopeless. I was like, oh, well, this is how the world is going to be now. Everything I wanted to do isn't going to happen anymore. But like now I think in turn, it kind of taught me a lesson that I needed to learn, is that not everything's going to go. Anything could happen. A pandemic could happen. You could lose the people close to you. You could lose a job. And I used to be so fearful of that. And now I'm like, I'll just figure it out.
You know what, though? I think, though, and I love that you say that, Abigail, but you are a very mature person. You're a little bit.
She is.
I think what Val is talking about, and I'm looking kind of at my daughter. I think from my daughter's perspective, she sees like on social media or, when she's watching TV, all the people are getting everything they want. They
Right.
think they're getting everything they want, and they put it out there like they are. And so, they aspire and they climb to the top, and they're just everybody's getting. And I'm like, honey, that's like 1% of the people.
It's not real.
It's social media too. So like on social media, it's easy to say, look at all these great things that I've done. Look at all my achievements, all my accomplishments. No one's posting their failures.
Their failures. And I told her, I said, look at what your mama has been through. Are you serious? I'm 54. I'm still trying to climb that ladder. And so
do you think it's because they really want to succeed? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure that.
Let me throw something else out there. And
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to feel about this. And I don't know how anybody's going to feel about this. I would love to hear from the crowd on this one.
Okay.
I watched the generation in the grocery store with their parents want a piece of candy and break freaking down and throw a fit. And guess what? Parents give in and give them the piece of candy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want that chocolate bar, Mom. No, you can't have that. Okay. Give them the chocolate bar to make them shut up. Now, I don't know if that's everybody. I don't know if that's the piece. Like, you go way back young. And I saw things like that. I mean, I'm a doctor, and I watch people in the room, and I watch people in the grocery store, and I watch all this. And I see that my generation didn't have. So the new generation coming up, kind of,
they want to give them everything.
And so I gave them kind of everything, and they had everything they needed and wanted. I bought it all, big Christmases and everything. And so now that they're out there in the real world, they're kind of green, and it's like, that's not how the real world works. So I wonder if I set my children, I'll take accountability. I wonder if I set her up to believe that somehow.
I do think
we played a part in that.
Yeah,
I think I have to agree with you on that, because I think I'm part of my daughter's problem, because, and I'll let you finish that, because I was that one trying to give more than what I had. Mm-hmm. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't allow them, when I said no, I meant no, and you're not going to get in public and act a fool.
Right.
That part there. Now, but what I did do, and if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have given quite as much as I gave.
Exactly. Yeah. And I agree with you. So my children never acted like that in public, but I watched others do it.
Oh, and I know, and it's unbelievable. And it's the same thing with these young kids with cell phones. And I know this is kind of taking it, this conversation a little different, but I do want to have that conversation. What are these cell phones doing, not just to our children, but to us, even in the workplace? Yeah. We can't even turn them off. We can't put them down.
Our communication, looking at each other in the eye and being on the phone. And there's some great benefits to it too. I've noticed some changes to my relationships with people. Like, I'm always in contact with my kids, where otherwise I wouldn't have known where they were, what they're doing. I can, so there's a lot of great things about it too.
Of course it is.
Ultimately, our communication is broken down. And then like Abigail said, COVID really slammed the brakes onto everything. My daughter didn't have a graduation that she needed, that, prom, and she skipped out on that. And I'm like, but later on, you're going to use that to your advantage. I promise you're going to have that. So look forward. And that was the point with her. It's like, yes, you had a lot of things robbed from you, but this is life. You are not, it is not going to be perfect. So I love what you said. I heard you. And you said, if it's not working out as you plan, turn with it.
Turn with it.
Something, and then make something out of that road.
Right.
What you have inside, that turn with it and flexibility, but still don't take no for an answer, and keep your vision strong.
And you also have to recognize that because you turn doesn't mean that you failed.
Right.
Because that didn't work out is not a reflection of you. Sometimes those things happen to build you up and to build your character and to build your strength, to see if you're resilient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think kind of to what Dr. Pinkston was saying earlier about parents kind of giving their kids everything they want. You don't want to see your child be disappointed. You don't want to see them cry. You don't want to see them be upset. And I think like you said too, also, Gen X and older, like their parents didn't really give them, like they've had a lot of disappointment in their life.
Right.
And so they do this 180. And I think what my generation kind of struggles with is dealing with disappointment. Even I do sometimes some work with some schools, and the parents will throw a temper tantrum because their kid didn't get something that they didn't earn.
Unbelievable.
And they have to keep it so, oh, well, everybody gets this and everybody gets that.
And I think that really right there really messes up a lot of kids.
The trophy for everybody. You guys,
That's ridiculous. Participating. Everybody has to be on the team.
Everybody got a trophy. Even the losing team, the bottom team got trophies. Every single plate got trophies.
So unrealistic. It's kind of like even in middle school now, they have A, B, C, and D teams for sports. Oh,
Yeah.
why? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous. If your child is on the D squad,
Yeah. Something right.
9 times out of 10, that baby you either need to take them and put them in private classes if you see a potential, but the school should not have, in my opinion, because you're setting up an unrealistic, when they get to high school, you have one team. Right. You have one varsity team, one JV team, one freshman team.
You make it or you don't.
Or you don't.
That's life.
That's life.
Sink or swim. And the survival of the fittest, all those, phrases. But we are setting our children up not to understand that. And so then you get this kind of fallout. And I think.
And this is what happens in the workplace. So then we have us joining the workforce.
Right.
And we have employees and us as employees, we go in with the expectation that one, we have to have all the answers. And if someone doesn't like our answers, then whoa.
Right.
They're not treating me fair.
Right.
They don't like me.
Right.
Or they're showing favoritism.
There you go.
Why can't it just be that wasn't the right answer, or it wasn't the time that we're going to take your suggestion?
Exactly.
I feel like that holds kids back even more, because if you're being told, oh, well, you're great at this one thing, you're holding them back from pursuing something that they could really excel in. If you're saying, oh, well, everybody gets a trophy because everyone's amazing, everyone's not amazing.
Right.
And maybe this isn't your strength.
Right.
And I think parents need to be honest with their kids. I mean, Doc, you're going to have to help me here.
Okay.
It's kind of like knowing that, when we ran track, I'll just use my sports.
All right.
Not everyone can make the track team because you're either fast enough, or you can throw the shot put, or you can triple jump or something. But if you weren't up to that caliber, you weren't going to be signed in to be on the track team.
Sure.
Same thing for cheerleading.
Right.
If your child is not fit, don't put your baby out there to be made a spectacle of, because what you're doing there is you're allowing people to tear down on that child's self-esteem. And that's something that they're going to have to deal with throughout their life.
Anyway, and they need to learn young that competition is okay, because it doesn't mean you're, like you said, it doesn't mean that you're better than somebody. It means that you worked hard.
Yes.
This is where you worked hard to be and belong and wanted, and there you are. And if you want to do that, I talk to people about my weight loss all the time.
Yes.
I want to do what you did, Dr. Pinkston. And I'm like, are you sure?
Sure. Are you sure? Are you ready to? It's a sacrifice. Are you ready?
Huge. I have dealt with this weight loss for 7 years now. I'm getting vein procedures because I blew out all my veins in my legs. I had skin surgery to remove all the excess skin. I still have to deal with some of that. I mean, you don't know 7 years later what I'm having to deal with after the fallout of that. And I have to have a surgery next week because of something that occurred.
Right.
So I'm like, and the hard work. So given that, the consequences is one. But the other thing then is the hard work and the look in the mirror and the change of my life. And I can't have what I used to have, that divorce. I did. Are you sure?
Are you sure? You're looking at this result
now, right?
And that goes back to acting as if you have to have all the right answers or you're
Absolutely.
just going along. It's kind of like there's a sacrifice behind everything that we do.
Absolutely. A
Yeah.
sacrifice and a consequence.
And a consequence.
But
And
a great outcome also.
right. Abigail, you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah,
Yes.
and if you think you're the one with all the answers, you're holding yourself back from learning something from somebody else.
Right.
If you can't take criticism, or if you can't take correction or direction, even or advice, then you're the kind of person that you're never gonna grow.
Right.
You're your own worst enemy at that point.
And
Well
as
said.
growing professionally, just think about that, and career conversation is really about us looking at who we are. Until you get to a place that you can really look at the good, the bad, and the ugly
Absolutely.
and pull out the bad,
Yeah.
work on it, and then look at all the good. There's a lot of good. Then I think we become more attractive to
Right.
people that want to pour into us.
Right.
Because if you're a know-it-all,
Yeah.
nobody really wants to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
Right.
Well, today is a little weird.
Yes.
We don't have, and I don't know if it's something going on. We don't have our viewers up today, but that never
No,
stops
we're at
us.
11. We're at 11 instead of
Yeah,
10,
instead of
like
our normal time.
They may not have
which
been
is-
able to make a switch. They'll go watch us later. Though.
They're gonna go watch us later.
They'll come
But
back.
here's what we're gonna do for them today. Dr. Pinkston, you get to ask me any questions you want. Ask me a question, and I'll ask you one, and then we're going to ask Abigail. And this is where we're going to get very vulnerable.
Yeah.
In the workplace, something that happened to us in the workplace that could have stifled our career,
Yeah.
that we don't want to see someone else make that mistake.
Absolutely. Oh
That's a
my
good
goodness
one.
gracious. There might be a couple of those. You going first too.
Okay, then. So I'm going to say this. I really wish I would have learned early on in my career
Mhm.
that I didn't have to be that person that had to advocate and know all the answers, do everything perfectly.
Mhm.
And I had to advocate and stand up for everyone else, because what I ended up doing to myself is making myself with the spotlight be the problem.
Right.
Because I was always that person standing. They wouldn't even stand up for themselves.
Mhm.
They would talk behind the boss's back or the supervisor's back about this being a problem, that being a problem. But and you can clearly see in cases it was a problem. But I would stick my neck out
Mhm.
and say, when we had to do this, and this was wrong. When you said this, and this. And what I ended up doing with that is making a problem for myself. And
Mhm.
so if I had it to do all over again, I would probably listen more,
Mhm.
talk less,
Mhm.
and not feel like I had to be the big kid on the.
Wow.
I think that's probably.
I get it. I get it. Bless your heart. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think in my role, I wish I would, because I always have to be an advocate in that way. It's
Mhm.
my job, but I wish that I had not needed so much approval and tried to please every single person.
Mhm.
And I also wish that I would allow those times where people weren't pleased and unhappy to roll off my back a lot more and not take it inside.
Mhm.
And take it as, criticism or a person, just take it personal. I didn't take it as criticism, but I'd take it personal. If they were right about something, why did that make me so upset? I know it's not right. It's okay. You go do your thing, right?
Right.
We had a lady yesterday who was at the clinic. She's a new patient. I've never seen her before. And if patients know me in the past, they would bring a book or crochet or something, because sometimes they had to wait.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But they knew they were going to get Dr. Pinkston. They were okay with that. I don't have to do that anymore. I've refined now, and I can go through.
Yes.
This lady waited 15 minutes yesterday, got up, opened the door, and said, I'm not waiting any longer. New patient, marched right out. And my staff was like, they reacted like I used to react. Oh, and she, and this, and that. And I'm like,
okay.
What you say is thank you.
Yes.
she's going to be a difficult, high maintenance person.
Let her let her go.
Now, I want everybody to hear this in a business aspect because this is very important. I told my staff this yesterday and I've said it for 20 years. 98% of the people that you deal with in business, so your patients, your clients, your workforce, your staff, your everybody, your employees or your people you're working with, 98% of the time are just easygoing, there to do their job, work well with you, quiet, don't make much noise, you have fun with or whatnot. 2% of those people are obnoxious and make you insane. And they
oh my God,
crazy. They call out, they do everything. And I'll tell you, as a boss, as a doctor, I spend 98% of my time on that 2% and 2% of my time on that 98. And I told my staff, let the 2% go. It's okay.
Let it go.
Let it go.
It's okay. Let it go.
Let them fire us. Let them fire whatever, walk, whatever. Let them go because then that 98% is left and we're going to have a good time. We're going to be all
there
right.
You go. Let it go.
True in any business, I think.
I think that is so important in business, as an employee, as an employer, and even in your personal life.
Absolutely.
Because you got to be okay with letting it go and not taking, when someone says, I gotta go, bye.
Yeah, go.
Let it go. Let it go. Abigail, your turn.
So I think something that I've struggled with in the past and sometimes still struggle with is I had to learn to be okay with being wrong.
Oh.
And I think that kind of ties into our topic as well.
Yes.
It's okay to not have all the answers, but I would pretend like I did, and then I would look foolish.
Right.
Because I would say something that I had no idea what I was talking about.
Oh my God.
And everybody knew you had no idea what you were talking about.
Yes.
It's like blatantly obvious, and you're sitting here like talking up a big game.
Right.
Talking like you know what you're talking about. And I've definitely had to learn. And like I said, I still struggle with it sometimes where I don't like being wrong. But now I've realized when I am wrong, I own up to it. I right my wrongs. I fix it. And you move on and you learn better next time. Because if you sit in that like almost like guilty, defeated feeling, you're not doing anybody good. You're not doing yourself any good.
And it always starts with you're not doing yourself any good. Because if you don't do yourself well, you can't do someone else well.
Exactly.
So I love that you said that.
You have to be wrong to be right. You have to go through all those mistakes and all those trials to get to a successful place.
I 100% agree with you. Wow. Wow. With that being said, I think that this conversation is definitely a conversation that was needed. And I think we may have to come back and revisit it. But I want our listeners, we're going to take it a little slower. They'll be able to catch this a little shorter. They'll be able to catch it on the radio, LV with Val Radio. And of course, it is always up on YouTube. I think that we're probably going to have quite a few people that are going to come back and check it out. Yeah. But I want you, before we go, Dr. Pinkston, to let them know something about you, what you do, how they can find you, and how long have you been having this career conversation? And why did you decide to be a part of this?
Oh, my goodness. So, first of all, I'm Dr. Valerie Pinkston. I am a physician, a family physician, and integrative physician in San Antonio. I take the contemporary medicine and natural medicine and whatnot, bring it together and give you the best of both worlds, integrate them together. And I also have a podcast that I do. I'm all about education. I'm going to do that forever. I do a lot of speaking and whatnot and podcasts. And so I do have a podcast. If you go to drpbetterlife.com, you can find me on YouTube and all my social media and iTunes, iHeart Radio, Spotify, all those. So please join me. We found each other, I guess, about January, February last year, maybe. And you found me. And I think it was through Podmatch or one of those podcast platforms. Yeah. And invited me on, and I don't know what got into you, bless your little heart, but you kept inviting me back, and we made me a co-host, and here we are, and I love it, and I'm so pleased, and I'm so honored, and I love our audience. This has gone well. I am so happy.
I am too. I think why I know what happened, Dr. Pinkston. I think that you are a woman that is so transparent, a true professional, someone that has been through a lot, but has given a lot and continues to give, which makes it so easy and you're so relatable to the everyday person. And I don't even want to say to the woman, to the everyday person, that it's like sitting down, having a conversation with your girlfriend or a good friend, and you just happen to be a doctor. You understand? That is not truly who you are. Who you are is Marianne. And I just love that about you. And I just wanted to have you on this journey with me because I know that God put me on this path because I know I struggled with what do I want to do? Who
Right.
can I talk to? There was no one there when I
That's
decided to take my journey, take this step. And
that's right.
I started having doctors and other professionals ask, how do you make a change in your career?
Yeah.
What do you do when you just don't know what your next step is? Or I just wish I had someone that we can just talk about the problems that I'm having or even the good things that's going on in the workforce. And so that's where VK Career Conversation came from.
Yeah,
And I felt like you are the perfect co-host, you and Day, who is Day is just amazing. And to my listeners, I feel safe leaving you in the hands leaving them in the hands of you guys if I'm not even on the platform because I know you would care about my baby just as much as I care about it.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And what did you get out of it? Come on in here,
Yes.
Abigail.
I love VK Career Conversations. It's a nice way to kind of just talk about the different things that I think people don't touch on when it comes to career.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like podcasts about, that might be motivational or all these things. And this is still motivational, but I like the kind of niche that we have with it. And I think we have perfect hosts to talk about it because you guys all kind of have a different perspective in different fields that you work in.
Yes.
Because you and Dr. Pinkston kind of work in a similar field, but you do a completely
Really
different side of it.
Yes.
And so you guys have, a similar perspective, but it's also really different.
Yes.
And I think it's a nice balance that we have.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you. Well, do you want to tell the people anything else? Any shout outs you want to give? Come on.
Yes. So, as you know, Miss Carter here, she doesn't only do VK Career Conversations or VK or the Love and Victory Show with Val. She also has a nonprofit called L&V Enterprise Resources Incorporated. And we have a few things coming up this month that I wanted to shout out. The first is our Christmas toy drive that is going on now until we're going to deliver the presents on December 13th. To DePelchin, yes. Which kind of serves for underprivileged communities and kids.
It's children that have either been displaced, misplaced, or families. It's a children's center. And so we are going to hopefully bring some smiles. No, we know we're going to bring some smiles and some joy and some happiness at Christmas time for the kids and the family.
Exactly. So if you live in the Houston area, you can drop some gifts off at 616 FM 1960 West. That's Suite 101 in Houston, Texas, 77090. It can be wrapped or unwrapped. We just ask that you bring brand new toys. Our business hours are from Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And we are taking any kinds of toys for all ages, all genders, all those kinds of things. If you don't live in Houston and you'd still like to contribute, you can visit lverinc.com and you can make a donation there.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
And then we are also hosting to kind of help fund the toy drive. We are doing a bowling and brunch event. This is taking place on Sunday, December 3rd from 2 to 4 p.m. This is at Del Mar Lanes at 3020 Magnum Road, Houston, Texas. We are selling tickets. You can go on Eventbrite. I have the QR code up there. You can also find a link to the Eventbrite on lverinc.com. We do have a limited time only $5 discount with the promo code Toy Drive. And all proceeds from this event are going straight to that toy drive.
Right.
I wish I was in Houston.
I wish you was too. Come on. Come on down. Maybe we need to have you on the show that Saturday and go bowling with us. How about that?
Yeah, we can work that out.
We can work that out.
I wish. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. I have so much going on. My Lord.
I know. You just have so much going on. We both. I tell you. I know. I know. Well, I want to say thank you. And again, Abigail, thank you for giving those shout outs To our listeners and to the viewers, we love you so much. We are just so grateful. We do this without question because of you. We hope that we are pouring something into you. Please share your comments, good, bad, and the ugly. We want to know how you feel.
Yeah.
We want to know what you want us to discuss. We don't shy away from anything. So until next time, we love you. Bye.